Yeah. Hi, and welcome back to the weekly outlook for the week of 27 till the 31st of January 2025. And here we'll be going again over some charts, some pairs, going over some news events, and basically preparing ourselves for the upcoming week. Getting right into it, we'll go over some news events. So basically, this is the last week of the month. We have our FOMC and CPI releases, and on the Wednesday we have FOMC release late in the day, and we have CPI on Friday. I think we have unemployment claims on Thursday, Monday and Tuesday again, nothing as such. So I think Monday and Tuesday look like a very probable day for trades to form, setups to come. I think I'll be avoiding Wednesday pre FOMC, and Thursday is also very dicey because as much as I like Thursday, I just want to avoid it pre CPI. Let's get into the charts. Dollar index on the monthly looks like it's going either way because it's at a very key point right now. As I mentioned in the last week's stream, the December price action broke out of this 2 year long range. And now, if we go down on the weekly, as I mentioned previously, I wanted for price to tap into this weekly fair value gap coinciding with this weekly order block to get some fuel, get some absorb some liquidity, and then maybe go higher. But we are at a key point where the price has tapped into the weekly fair value gap but hasn't reacted very well off of it. As we can see on the daily, price tapped into it on Friday and didn't get an instant reaction, which I was more or less looking for. And now the weekly looks doesn't look very strong in terms of bullish continuation. And this week's price action, which coincides with all the red folder events, the FOMC, the CPI, this week's price action will be very key in determining if we continue higher from here on the dollar index or if we close down, invalidating all these bullish arrays. And if we do so and close inside this range on the monthly, it will more or less look like a proper deviation. This will be this will be a proper deviation of this existing 2 year long range. So it'll be very, I'll be looking at it very closely to make my decisions. Um, Again, going to the Euro USD chart, uh, remove some markings first of all. So yeah, we had our November and December lows. We swept it through January, and I think we have pushed higher back inside this range now, respecting this fair value gap which has been left open for almost 2 years now. And on the weekly, as we can see, uh, we are still trading inside this order block. And if we go down to the daily, we'll see a sweep of these lows, and then price has gone through these existing fair value. As I mentioned previous week as well, that I wasn't really sure about this order block, these set of down up close candles, because of how price had closed here. Price had swept these lows, and I wasn't really sure of how price will react off of these up close candles. And I mentioned that I can't really call these up close candles as an order block because I haven't seen a continuation in structure. This is a sweep of the lows, and the structure imminently shifted from here. Previous week we saw good displacement towards the highs. These strong highs were swept as well with the price action, and we are currently trading inside a weekly order block. What I want to see on the 4-hour time frame now is that price more or less consolidates here, gives a sweep and goes higher. I want to see these highs being taken out. This existing high is being taken out, and as I mentioned, strong highs and strong lows. So we can see it here as well, that we can use strong highs and lows in as a part of our order flow, as well as shift in order flow as well. So we can see here that these lows are weak lows which are being swept, and the low being created after this movement up is a strong low, which is respected until and unless price doesn't take out a liquidity pool. For example, these are resting lows. This candle sweeps these lows, creates a strong low, as well as supported by the previously existing strong low, and price continues higher. Now, this is the continuation order flow where we can use strong lows. Strong lows can also be used in seeing a change in order flow. For example, we're seeing price here. This high has been swept by this high, creating a strong high. Now price has gone up, and all the bearish arrays are being disrespected. But at the same point, this strong high has also been ran through pretty strongly, pretty easily, showing a strong sign that the price and the bias has clearly shifted on the macro level. Going towards the pound, GBP, USD, on the monthly, as we can see, we have swept these lows. I think price has reacted really well off of it. Earlier, I was looking for, on the weekly, I was looking for price to respect this fair value gap, tap into it, and maybe give us a move down towards these lows, taking out these lows inside a weekly order block, a monthly order block. But price has instead swept these lows. On the weekly, price has ran through this fair value gap, almost ran through this order block on the daily that we have. And on the monthly, as we can see, this inversion gap is being respected very beautifully. Price is more or less pushing to close above of this gap, as well as taking out this low, and we can have a balanced price range and eventually look forward to these monthly gaps that have been left open and this range high. But on the weekly, as we can see, I think on the daily we'll have a more better perspective, as we have broken almost above these up close candles, this bearish order block. I would like to see price target this high and eventually this high, and the 4-hour shows us strong signs of bullish order flow, where again there is not much evidence. I know that the price has shifted more or less, but again this week's price action, this week's news releases, the FOMC release, the Fed press conference release, the FOMC release, the CPI release will be more or less very crucial for me to have a bias for the next upcoming month. But yeah, I think I want to see some consolidation, and then only I can more or less form an idea which I can get behind and formulate trades later on. Speaking of trades, I have a Discord server which I've started, and we have weekly outlooks where we connect and I share my ideas with you from week to week, right before the start of trading week. But there are a lot of midweek developments in the market which I can't come online and make a video about it and post every day on YouTube. So I have a Discord server where I share my ideas, share my outlook, maybe in a form of snapshots or maybe in the form of videos where you can align your ideas with mine or maybe have a different perspective, my perspective onto the market, and you can see the trades that I'm taking throughout the week and a lot of other things, other perks that are there in the Discord server. I am going to mention the server link right in the description of this video, as well as I'm going to mention the link of the server across all my socials. So make sure to check that out. Get in that Discord server before it's you miss out on too much stuff. And yeah, okay, let's jump right back into going over charts. So yeah, I want to see something more, some more price action before I can actually have trade idea. But other than that, we have seen a good structure shift here, and I would love to see continuation higher. And on the odd USD, I think again sweep of the monthly lows here, and on the weekly, again this is a strong high that we have invalidated it pretty strongly, pretty with a lot of conviction, and we have disrespected this bearish order block, as well as we have almost disrespected this bearish fair value gap on the daily. So I would like to see a close, maybe some consolidation and a move higher. In the last week's stream, I think I mentioned uh, formulating a trade idea somewhat here, but not taking the trade because that trade also appeared last week Friday. So didn't get into that trade, but more or less that trade played out with almost no to zero drawdown. I obviously didn't take that trade, but it's to show how important it is to maybe plot your ideas, present your ideas, and present your ideas where you have utter conviction. And yeah, this more or less helps with having good anticipatory skills in live markets, and this will more or less translate into you formulating your own trade ideas and taking buy or sell positions, and eventually it will pay off. So yeah, but as of now on the odd USD, I don't think I have anything here, any targets that I'm looking forward to, or not really any clear trade ideas. Similarly, on the NZ, I think what we are having here on the monthly, if we look towards it, I think we are having a clear SMT between the correlated pairs. I think we have these highs which are not being swept, and these highs, these lows which are not being swept, and here these lows which have been swept, and NZ and Australian dollar being correlated pairs. I think we are seeing a clear SMT where we have almost similar price action in this particular fractal, where we have invalidated on the daily, we have invalidated this order block and almost invalidated this fair value gap, this existing fair value gap. What I would like to see is a run through this fair value gap and then some consolidation and a push higher. But as of now, I don't have any solid trade plan for these particular two pairs. If I do come up with something or see something developing on the charts, I'll definitely make sure to share it on my Discord server to me. So make sure to join it, get into that server. It's free of cost. You should find, I hope you get some value out of it, and I hope you'll find it more valuable when it's free, of course. So yeah, my bad. Oops. Yeah. So on the monthly, again on you, I don't like how this pair is moving, but on the monthly, we are in the final quarter of this existing range. The weekly, if we go down, we can see we have a clear fair value gap, open fair value gap, which has been tapped into multiple times, but price has failed to react off of it. And on the daily, this gets even more messier on the daily because we swept this previous week's lows, and on the very next day, we swept the highs. And look at this candle. I don't really know how to even have any sort of trade idea, even an ambitious trade idea in this particular condition. So I just tend to avoid USD CAD completely. But yeah, I would like to see a sweep of these lows again, more or less, for me to get anywhere interested into even seeing this pair for the next month or so. I want to see this low get swept again, have a double sweep on the weekly inside this existing fair value gap, and then have a push towards these highs, this high and eventually these highs. Let's see how it pans out, but as of now I don't like that pair at all. On the USD chef pair, almost similar story, where we are in the final quarter of this existing range. We have uh, almost equal highs. Not really beautiful on the weekly, but on the daily, price has given a sweep of these lows, of the Wednesday lows, but price has ran through this bullish order block. Even if we count the VIX as the order block, I don't think that this is very high probability, but still I'll be keeping my tabs on it. But I have no interest in looking at it also. Again, on the weekly, on USD JPY, this looks slightly more decent, where we have a continuation of this structure, leaving behind a bullish order block overlapping with a bullish fair value gap open, where we have swept the lows of the weekly lows multiple times, not once but twice now. And on the daily, if you can see, we have a sweep of these lows here, but I want to see price displacing strongly now. Even if we sweep these lows again, I want to see on the 4 hour, I want to see price closing above these highs, giving me some sort of displacement, leaving behind some bullish PD arrays which are being respected into these highs eventually. But as of now, I want to see displacement up from here. And as we clearly can see that the price action is not very high probability right now, and we don't have clear direction where we have to trade, because both my uh, pairs like Euro USDG and GBP USD are also looking bullish, as well as pairs like USD CAD and USD JPY are looking bullish to me personally right now. So what I would really want is for price to give me some sort of one-sided clear displacement across all pairs, where I can form a more or less clearer idea when I'm trading with the USD and against the USD. Like this USD JPY is a pair where the USD is the dominant pair and JPY is the underlying asset. So if DXY goes up, USD goes up, DXY goes up, USD JPY goes up, because USD is the primary asset here and JPY is the underlying asset. But if DXY goes up and we are looking at GBP USD, if DXY goes up, GBP USD will go down, because GBP is the primary asset and USD is the underlying asset. So I want to see some single-sided strong displacement in DXY, giving me a more clearer outlook. Yeah, jumping to the exotic pairs. First of all, looking at Euro GBP, Euro Euro Pound. Yeah, so on the weekly, we have swept these weekly highs inside a weekly order block, and I'm looking for displacement towards these external range lows. And if it happens, I think if this plays out, if this particularly plays out, oh my god, if this particularly plays out somehow, not exactly like this, but across a few weeks, if it plays out, and if we are bullish on euro and pound, I think we'll see a leg where pound outperforms euro. While both are being bullish, pound will outperform euro. But this is something which I want to see coherently on the euro pound chart as well. If euro and pound turn bullish. The GBP CAD chart. So the GBP CAD chart is something that I shared in my previous week's outlook as well, where we had a sweep of these weekly lows inside a weekly order block, and on the 4 hour we had a clear shift in structure where, and the order flow was clearly bullish, where all the bearish candles, all the down close candles, exactly, all the down close candles were being respected and were pushing price higher. Every down close candle is pushing price higher, and we had a consolidation here where the lows were swept. On the 1 hour, I had a sweep of these lows, a clear shift in structure on the 1 hour, leaving behind a bullish order block, and taking my entry here and getting out on a simple 2 hour. So this trade worked out pretty well, and as I just said, I shared it in my previous week's outlook as well as on my Discord server. So please make sure to be there, join the Discord server, and at least look at my ideas, look at what I am trading or getting into. So yeah, again, GP CAD, looking at euro odd, this was shared in the previous week's outlook as well. Again, as I mentioned, this looks very tight to me right now. This looks like, very range bound. But as we have a sweep of these weekly lows, and on the daily, I had this marked out on the previous week's stream only, where there was a bullish order block and the price had swept these lows once, and since it has just accumulated. Price has since just been very stagnant, and what I want to see a sweep of these lows again, where I can see a double sweep, and then maybe I'll position myself for some longs targeting these highs. Again, Euro JPY, if USD JPY is moving in a bullish direction, I think Euro JPY will also be something that I'll be looking at. Again, we have a sweep of these lows on the weekly, and we have a very small fair value gap. If you can see, we have a very small fair value gap on the weekly here, which was respected on the daily, as well as swept these lows, closed above these lows. Price has pushed on since then, and what I want to see on the 4 hour again is a consolidation here, maybe sweep of the lows, break in the consolidation, and then some manipulation, and then distributing towards the highs. If something here if I find something here, if something like this forms, I'll definitely make sure to share it on my Discord. But other than that, I don't have really much to talk about on this pair right now. I think it's the similar story across all pairs, where more or less price is yet to find its direction for this quarter, at least I feel so yeah, looking forward to this upcoming week. Pretty exciting to sit and just watch price from the sidelines, jumping into the indices here. I think this is the similar marked out chart which I shared on my previous week's live stream, where I have a very clear narrative that I want to see price pushing higher towards these highs, previous year's highs, and I have a sweep of these lows, these multiple lows. This is more or less a very tight consolidation, and this has been swept. Previous to previous week's lows swept, and on the daily we saw good displacement. On the 4 hour we saw a continuation in the structure. Again, every down close candle is supporting price to go higher, and price consolidated more or less for the second half of the week since Wednesday. Thursday and Friday was a consolidating day, were consolidating days, and what I want to see is price to do something like this, consolidate a little more, give me some manipulation, and then position me to get into some longs, at least on the. I want to see this happen on maybe Monday or max to max by Tuesday, because I don't want to be trading pre CPI on Wednesday, pre FOMC on Wednesday, or even pre CPI on a Thursday. So Monday or maybe the Tuesday is more or less very important for me, more or less very important for this to pan out. And yeah, on the SPX, I don't think I have anything as such. Again, on the higher time frame, we have more or less a similar narrative for both the pairs, for both the indices. But when we go down to the lower time frames, I don't think we really have anything here. We have obviously taken out the previous year's highs. We are going higher and higher. But I don't see any consolidation as such in this entire leg. Price has just gone brick by brick, candle by candle higher. So yeah, um, gold is also very interesting uh, commodity right now, because again we are moving towards these external range highs and this external range liquidity, and more or less we might just see price touching 2800s by the end of this week only. And again, I want to see some consolidation on gold, something forming here, maybe something like this inside, yeah, like inside this 4 hour order block. I want to see all this happening, but other than that, I don't want to get much into gold, because gold has already given us a very unidirectional move. I'm not sure if gold is going to give this much consolidation as well. I think gold will just shoot higher towards the range highs. Similarly, on silver, I took a trade on silver, and so I took a trade with the 4 hour. Did I take a trade? Yeah, Wednesday I took a trade on silver, sweep of the lows inside this fair value gap. After this, wait, let me give a small trade breakdown here only. So we have a weekly order block and a weekly fair value gap which has been respected pretty well. Price refused to close under this fair value gap and tapped right into the 50% range of this order block, and since then price has shifted higher. On the daily, price was moving higher, created higher highs, and on the 4 hour we had a sweep of these lows, and going down to the 5 minute, price gave us a shift in structure here. Shift in structure, entry right on the 5 minute order block. Price tapped into it, retraced a bit deep, price went higher, and after price reached my 1 hour mark, after price reached 1 hour, mark, I think I shifted my stops to break even. I shifted my stops to break even partially under this low, and overnight price just broke down completely and hit both my stops at break even and 0.3.4% loss. So yeah, took an L as well, but good trade management. I don't think this was the best of the entries for me or the best of the price action, but more or less pretty well managed to say the least. And yeah, uh, that's all for me on silver. I don't think silver is again very tightly bound inside this range where we have swept these highs. Again, I want to see a sweep of this low, particularly inside this order block, for me to get into a range play. But other than that, I'll be avoiding silver after the last week's fiasco. And yeah, US oil. This is a very interesting chart because we had a strong high which we created after sweeping these highs. Price went down, and last to last week only, price swept these highs, this external range liquidity, inside a weekly fair value gap, inside a weekly order block, and now the price has started to break down. If we go down on the 4 hour, I think I was looking at price here the last week where the price was hovering right above a new week open gap, and prices broke down and completely started to tumble towards this inside range liquidity. And I tried to look for shorts here as well on the 4 hour, inside a 4 hour order block, sweep of previous day, and looking for shorts on the lower time frames like on the 5 or the 15 minutes, but didn't really get my entry. But what I really want to look for this coming week on US oil, is something like this to happen where I either get some accumulation and a sweep of these highs and tumble down lower to this inside range liquidity, or what I want to see is something like this to happen. So either I want to see yes. So either I want to see these highs being swept inside this order block, or these highs being swept inside this order block, going towards this inside range liquidity. Now this concept of external range and internal range liquidity is very important for having more or less having narratives and high time frame biases where it can just help you plot, at least have the why. Because I think having good conviction behind a trade idea requires you to have a very strong narrative behind it. And I think external range and internal range liquidity concepts give you a lot of conviction and a good narrative to plot out your higher time frame bias. So I have content in production on external range and internal range liquidity as of now, and I'll be coming up with a concept video on this topic in the coming week only, maybe on Wednesday or Thursday, something like that. But yeah, this will really help you have a good read on higher time frame charts, and it's something that you would benefit from if you integrate it in your own setup. So yeah, again, on going on towards crypto now, I think on the daily time frame, I think I have this marked out since the start of last week only, where price has just flung high and low on last Monday during the inaugural speech of Donald Trump. And since then, price has just kept on accumulating and consolidating in a very tight range. And what I really want to see is at least a sweep of these lows. This candle needs to be swept towards and if it's swept towards its lows, something like this. If it happens, something like this, I would like to get into long somewhere here, going down on the lower time frame, maybe on the 1 hour. If something happens, if I get a shift in structure and align my PDRAs with it, maybe I'll go for it. Ethereum looks a tad bit dicey on the high time frame just because of this high being swept here, but it looks more or less very tightly bound, very tightly consolidating pair here, because I think Ethereum has a lot of potential. Ethereum needs to pump up. Ethereum needs to impress and more or less outrun and outweigh Bitcoin and other pairs like Solana and a lot of other coins, but it's just very all the swing lows and swing highs are failing, all the sweeps of the lows are failing, and the price just keeps on consolidating. So what my plan for Ethereum is more or less to avoid the coin, but I'll be looking at Ethereum as well, because we are inside that daily order block here, and this is the same strategy I'm using for Bitcoin, where I want to see at least a sweep of these lows before getting into highs, or it's possible that these lows are swept as well before price moves higher. Actually, it's very difficult to tell if the price will even move higher, but I think these are the two scenarios that will get me interested personally if they pan out, pushing the price higher. So yeah, that's all for this week's weekly outlook. Make sure to check out my Discord channel for more updates along the week as the week progresses, as the price action develops and progresses throughout the week. And make sure to tune into the concept video that I'll be releasing midweek, the IRL to ERL video. And yeah, that's all. Um, Hope you guys liked it. Hope you guys loved the content. Hope you guys are gaining some alpha out of it. And if that's the case, please make sure to subscribe and look at my other socials. Until then, happy trading. Stay safe. Bye bye.